To me, obviously, I'm talking a bit about what I do for a living. I'm a librarian and I love what I do. I could probably use some hobbies that are outside of what I do. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about one of those things in the future. But today, yeah, today I wanted to talk about things that you don't necessarily know about your public library. And I find with the library, we have this immediate and very strong connection with books. We know that the library has books, and that's wonderful. You cannot buy that level of brand awareness for anything. And that's a great thing that people have that automatic connection. But that also sometimes kind of works against public libraries because we offer quite a lot more than just those books these days. And so we're often kind of fighting against ourselves and against that brand awareness. So since this is a smaller group on the call, I did just kind of want to put it out there. How many people here, you can just kind of wave your hand. Have you used your local public library? Do you use your local public library? Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up. So let's start a couple things already. What do you know, Jacob, other than books? What do you know that the library has for you?
Um, the, uh, the Kitchener Public Library that I'm familiar with has a subscription to this music streaming, like a little bit downloading every week service where you can look at all sorts of different albums from over time. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Okay, anyone else want to throw something out there? Thanks. Thank you for letting me pick on you, Jacob. You're the first one. Juliana, anything you use at the library other than books?
I the last time that I remember spending like a fair amount of time in a library was when I was doing my master's in Waterloo also. And I remember in the basement there was a cinema, and it was really
Oh,
nice
cool.
because we were able to do documentary streaming.
Awesome. Yeah, and of course, everything right now is a little different because we're very focused. We have to stay home a lot more right now, obviously, and the library very much is a very physical place in a lot of ways. But then, as Jacob's mentioned, there's a lot that can be shared online as well. So the modern library, I tend to kind of group things under categories of, you can read, you can listen, you can watch. So we have ebooks, we have audiobooks, we have DVDs, we have streaming movies. My library specifically, we offer access to things like Canopy, which includes the Criterion Film Collection, to something called Press Reader, which is digital magazines and newspapers, and Creative Bug, which is online videos on how to do various arts and crafts kinds of things. So those are just things I'm throwing out there. But I've got sort of different groupings here. And the main purpose of the library is to provide access to information. And we have that strong association with books just because originally, of course, that was the main way we shared information, by writing it down and sharing it in a published book. But more and more, that information that we're looking for or trying to access is online in some form. So one of the things that we do now is we actually lend internet hotspots. And so we have physical computers that you have at the library, and you can come in and use a computer. But we lend internet hotspots. So it's basically, you've got your little black box, just like your phone. You bring it home with you, and you can tether up to 10 devices to it. It operates using cellular data. And it has unlimited data as well, because of course it would be difficult to lend a device, have it come back, and then somebody's already used up all the data on it. So that one's a great service, particularly for people who don't have the same kind of access to the internet, either because you live more rurally or you can't afford the same level of access. We also lend laptops. So right now we're in a state where we're offering curbside pickup because we can't physically have people come into the library, but you can still have that same access because you can borrow an internet hotspot and you can borrow a laptop. And a lot of people, actually, a lot of libraries right now are helping people with their vaccination bookings because, of course, that is an assumption, right? Oh, of course, you just go to this website and log on, and not everybody has the technology to do it, has the access to do it, or has the capability to do that. Another big focus for us is access to learning. So back when we could still do these things, we lend museum passes. So we have day passes to all the major national museums in Ottawa, for example. And that one's a great one for families in our community in particular. We also lend literacy kits for younger kids. So if they're working on different literacy skills, like sight words or phonological awareness, or that kind of thing, their parents can borrow a kit to help them work on that with them at home. We also have STEAM kits, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, because we got to add the arts in there. And same sort of idea. So we basically have a little toolbox that was donated by our local home hardware, and we have a theme for each kit. And those ones are aimed at kind of 6 to 10 kind of age range. But anyone can really have fun with them. We have Raspberry Pi kits too, so there you go. If you're into that, you can borrow that. You mentioned digital courses briefly, like Creative Bug, but some libraries also provide access to Lynda, which is another online learning program. But finally, I want to specifically mention that a lot of our local public libraries are really focusing on being community-led. And so for this really means it really depends on what our local community is looking for. So every library, what they offer is going to be different depending on what our community wants. So in Lees and Thousand Islands, which is a neighboring library, they have a sports equipment lending library. So if you need skates, if you need snowshoes, anything like that to be able to participate in those things, you can borrow them from the library. There are some libraries that have fishing tackle. We are hoping to introduce musical instruments shortly. So, being able to borrow a guitar or ukulele or so on. Some libraries lend tools, especially tools that are more expensive. That's a great way to share them amongst everyone in the community. And we also lend seeds. So we have a seed library, and it's like, well, how do you lend a seed? Basically, everybody who takes seeds from the seed library, we encourage them to let some of those plants go to seed again and harvest them, and then provide seeds for the seed library for the following year. So I just wanted to mention those things. And like I said, it kind of depends on what your local community is looking for, what things you offer. So the STEAM kits, thank you, Jessica, are very fun. And I know that they've been highly used, especially during this time. Again, because we are not able to have people in the library in the same way, we've kind of gone online. So we offer Zoom story time like this. We're working with scientists in schools, which is now Scientists in Situ. So they kids involved, they do an online kind of like a science lab kind of thing. And they come and get a take-home kit from the library that has the supplies they need to do the experiment. And then they do the experiment digitally through Zoom. It's just some things I'm throwing out there in terms of ways that the library is trying to respond to what's going on in our community and trying to adapt as everybody's adapting right now. Seeds are very cool. I definitely agree. Thank you for that in the chat. There we go.